it's a freedom that you want. It's the same freedom that gay men have when they go and they pick up a stranger someplace. They know it's dangerous. They know they could end up beaten up or killed, okay, but they find it hot. If you want freedom, if you want equality, okay, then you have to start behaving like a man. Okay? So what we did is we gave freedom to these young women for several generations, but my generation had been raised in a far more resilient and robust culture. Okay, we had the strength, okay, to know what we wanted and to fight for what we wanted. These young women have been raised in this protective, terribly protective ways. Right? So I think in some strange, fashion, that all these demands for intrusion from these, Stalinist committees, sexual, investigating dates and so on, it's a way to reinstitute, okay, the rules that my generation threw out the window. So I think these young women are desperate. Not only that, but I have spoken out very strongly in a piece I wrote for Time magazine, as in my most recent book, that raising the drinking age in this country, okay, from 18 to 21, okay, has had a direct result, okay, in these disasters of binge drinking fraternity parties. Because to let college students, the way we could, go out as freshmen, have a beer, sit in a protected adult environment, learn how to discourse with the opposite sex in a safe, environment, right, and so on. And now today, okay, because of the stupid rule that young people can't even buy a drink, okay, in a bar until they're 21, we have these fraternity parties that are like it's a caveman era. Well, of course, in this modern age, this disadvantages men. Okay, men want to hook up, men want to have sex. Women don't understand what men want. So, women are like put out because they're hoping that maybe the man will continue to be interested in them. Okay, the man just wants experience. Okay, the hormones drive toward. To me, I've theorized, okay, that the sex drive in men is intertwined with hunt and pursuit. Okay,
yes.
And so on. I feel absolutely this is what women don't understand. Okay, and if women understood what I understand from my transgender perspective, all right, these women on the streets. Okay, I'm obviously Madonna, admirer, and I support pornography and prostitution. So I don't want what I'm about to say to seem conservative. It isn't. Okay, what I'm saying is the women on the street, young women, okay, who are jogging, okay, with no bra on, okay, short shorts, and have earbuds in their ears, okay, just jogging along like I said. These women do not understand the nature of the human mind. They do not understand the nature of psychosis, okay, and this intertwining that I'm talking about, okay, of the hunt and pursuit thing, okay. They're triggering a hunt thing, just what you have talked about in terms of the zebra herd, okay. They are triggering the hunt, okay, impulse, okay, in psychotic men, okay. To have there goes a very appetizing and totally oblivious animal, okay, bouncing along here, okay. So, and we're in a period now where psychosis is not understood at all, okay. Young women have had no exposure to movies like Psycho, okay, the kind of the rapist, serial murderer thing, and so on. The kind of strange dynamic that has to do with the assault on the mother imago, in the mind of the psychotic. So I think there's an incredible naivete. These young women are emerging and going to college, and in this like incredible Dionysian environment of orgiastic sexual experience in fraternity houses. They're completely unprepared for it, right? And so you're getting all this outrage. So feminist rhetoric has gotten more and more extreme in its portrayal of men as evil. But in fact, okay, what we have is a chaos. It's a chaos in the sexual realm. The girls have not been told anything real, in terms of biological substratum to sexual activity.
And there's full of lies about what constitutes consent too.
Exactly.
And it's become something that's essentially portrayed linguistically as a sequence of progressive contracts, which I think, I've thought for a while that we're living in the delusional fantasy of a naive 13-year-old girl. That's basically sums up our culture. And I look at all these sexual rules that permeate the academia, and I think two things. The first thing I think is, I know because I was an alcohol researcher for a long time, and you know that 50% of violent crimes are directly attributable to alcohol. So if you're murdered, there's about a 50% chance that you're drunk, and about a 50% chance that the person who kills you is drunk. And alcohol is the only drug that we know that actually amplifies aggression. It does that in laboratory situations. Plus, it's a great disinhibitor, right? So what alcohol does is it doesn't make you oblivious to the future consequences of your action. Because if you ask someone who's drunk about the consequences of something stupid, they can tell you what the consequences are. But it makes you not care. And it does that because it's technically an anxiolytic, like barbiturates or like benzodiazepines, and it also has an activating property for many people who drink. So it's a stimulant and an anxiolytic at the same time, and a very potent. It's very potent for both of them. And we put young people together and douse them in alcohol, right, at the binge drinking level, and then, which also interferes with memory consolidation, which of course makes things much more complex. And then we're surprised when there are sexual misadventures, and then it's also attributed almost purely to the predatory element that's part and parcel of masculinity, but a tremendous amount of that is also naivety and stupidity. Yes. Because we expect, like, 18-year-old guys, especially the ones that haven't been successful with girls, which is like 85% of them, because the successful men are a very small percentage of men. The 85% who haven't been successful with men or with women, they don't know what the hell they're doing at all, right? And part of the reason they're getting drunk is to garner up enough courage to actually make an advance. Yeah. And because I think another thing that women don't understand, especially with regards to young men, is just exactly how petrifying attractive woman who's of, say, somewhat higher status actually is to a young guy. And there's lots of guys that write me constantly, and people that I've worked with, that are so terrified of women they can't even talk to them. Right. It's very, very common. Well,
I take a very firm position, which is that I want college administrations to stay totally out of the social lives of the students. Yeah. Right? If a crime is committed, it should be reported to the police. I've been writing that for 25 years now. Right? But it's not the business of any college administration to take any notice, okay, of what the students say to each other, as well as do with each other. Okay? I want it to totally stop. It is fascism of the worst kind.
I agree. Well, I think it's fascism of the worst kind, because it's a new kind of fascism. Mm-hmm. It's partly generated by legislation. So like the Title IX memo that was written in 2011, yes. I recently got a copy of that goddamn thing. That was one polluting bit of legislation. That memo basically told universities that unless they set up a parallel court system, they were going to be denied federal funding. Unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable.
Incredible. And the leftists are supporting this.
I know.
And this shows there is no authentic campus leftism. I'm sorry, it's a fraud. Okay, I mean, the faculty should be fighting the administrations on this.
Yeah,
fighting that federal regulation